On the eve before Halloween, a night of pranks, tricks, and harmless mayhem, lies a forgotten story. Beneath the laughter and the mischief is a darker memory, the forgotten death of Mischief Night. Tonight, we peel back the layers of folklore, history, and tragedy to uncover what time has nearly buried. Mischief Night, also known in parts of England as Mischief Evening, Devil's Night, etc., is an old tradition of mild pranks, minor vandalism, and trickery. In many local cultures, it was a night off before All Hallows Eve, when rules were loosened and mischief was tolerated. According to English folklore, such nights were seen as occasions when boundaries between order and chaos, the living and the dead, grew thin. Children and pranksters would roam streets, windows tapped, doors soaped, harmless scares enacted. In folklore, Mischief Night acquired mythic overtones, sometimes depicted as a time when spirits or mischievous demons roamed. But during the Victorian era and earlier, the tradition had darker associations. It wasn't always harmless fun. Buried in parish records, old newspapers, and local folklore are hints of tragedies that accompanied the night's pranks. The forgotten death refers to these incidents, often minimized or forgotten with time, but nonetheless real. One such account relates to a young man or youth who, during a Mischief Night prank, accidentally fell or was pushed and died. Some stories frame the death as a prank gone wrong. Others hint at more sinister involvement. The remembrance is faint, but the specter remains in local oral tradition. In some parishes, the tales speak of youths daring each other to trespass into dangerous places, ledges, old ruins, barns, in the dark. One misstep, one slip, one shove could lead to disaster. In one recorded case, a prankster was said to have fallen from a rooftop while trying to hang lanterns on a neighbor's eaves. The injury was fatal. Over time, the newspapers would call it a tragic accident and the memory faded. These deaths were rarely publicized or sensationalized, often buried in small local press or in coroner's notes. Over decades, with cultural shifts and growing disdain for the night's rowdiness, these dark tales became footnotes in history. Why did the memory fade? And what does this forgotten death tell us about how communities remember and forget their darker pasts? Normalization of tragedy. In times when death was more commonplace, child mortality, industrial accidents, weak safety regulations, a death by misadventure might not stand out enough to be preserved in public memory. Stigma and shame. Families and local authorities may have suppressed or sanitized the story to avoid blame or scandal. Changing morality. As notions of childhood, innocence, and public behavior evolved, pranks that once seemed acceptable became frowned upon. The folklore associated with Mischief Night was recast. The pranks became trivialized while the tragedies were hushed. Folklore as suppression. In some versions, the dark tale becomes a cautionary ghost story told to deter mischief. In telling of the death, the community holds onto a moral boundary stray too far, and you might vanish into darkness. Thus, the forgotten death becomes a bridge between play and peril, between folklore and fact, and between communal memory and silence. Today, Mischief Night persists in many places, often lightly. Toilet-papered trees, soaked windows, light pranks among friends. But the deeper memory of mortality is rarely acknowledged. By resurrecting the story of a life lost during that night, we remind ourselves that even harmless fun can carry risk, and that history is full of quiet tragedies. In the age of digital archives, local historical societies, and crowdsourced memory, exploring these forgotten stories helps us reflect on how communities choose what to forget and what to remember. So the next time you hear the words Mischief Night, pause. Imagine the laughter, the darkness, the daring, and the shadows of past risks. Beyond the pranks lies a story that nearly time forgot, a death whispered in parish registers, hidden in folklore. If you enjoyed this dive into folklore and forgotten history, please like, subscribe, and share. And if you happen to live in a town with old records or local legends around Mischief Night, dig deep. You might unearth your own forgotten death. Thanks for watching, and until next time, tread carefully in the dark.